On a snowy residential street in Minneapolis, a maroon SUV, 3 armed federal agents, and a few frantic seconds ended with a 37-year-old woman shot dead in her car. The U.S. government says she tried to kill immigration officers with her vehicle, while city leaders and many residents insist the videos do not clearly show an attempted murder. This video breaks down what happened on that street, what the cameras actually capture, and how one shooting has exploded into a national fight over immigration, policing, and truth. On January 7, 2026, an officer with U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, or ICE, shot and killed a woman during an immigration operation in South Minneapolis. Officials later identified her as 37-year-old Renee Nicole Good, a Colorado native who had been in the city amid heightened immigration enforcement activity. The shooting happened near East 34th Street and Portland Avenue, an area that has seen protests and heavy federal presence as the Trump administration escalated crackdowns in major U.S. cities. Multiple videos recorded by bystanders and legal observers show parts of the encounter from different angles. In one scene, the maroon SUV is stopped across the middle of a snowy road, perpendicular to traffic, appearing to block the street. An officer who will later fire the fatal shots is seen walking behind the vehicle and toward its front, while another person, not in uniform, follows and appears to be recording on a phone. As the SUV sits still, the driver can be seen waving a hand out of the window just before more federal agents arrive in an unmarked gray utility vehicle with a flashing light. 2 armed ICE officers get out of the truck and quickly move toward the SUV with weapons drawn, shouting repeatedly for the driver to get out of the car. In the chaos, one officer reaches the driver's side door and pulls on the handle while another moves into position in front of the vehicle. The audio on one of the videos captures agents yelling, "Get out of the car," followed by a more aggressive, "Get out of the King car," as they try to force compliance. At around this moment, the reverse lights on the SUV come on and the vehicle begins to back up while the officer at the door still has his hand on the handle. Seconds later, the SUV moves forward again, with a third officer now directly in front of the vehicle, stepping backward as it advances. Here is where the official narrative and video analysis sharply diverge. The Department of Homeland Security put out a statement saying the driver used her vehicle to kill officers, accusing her of trying to run them down. President Donald Trump amplified that message on social media, claiming the footage shows the woman violently, willfully, and viciously running over an ICE officer and framing the act as domestic terrorism. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem told reporters that a woman attacked officers and tried to ram them after agents became stuck in the snow. Supporters of the agent argue that he faced a split-second, life-or-death decision as the SUV moved toward him. They say the shooting fits a pattern of officers confronting increasingly aggressive resistance during immigration operations nationwide. But detailed frame-by-frame reviews of at least 3 videos paint a more ambiguous picture. In one widely shared scene, the SUV appears to move forward and slightly to the right, with its front tires turned away from the exact line of the officer rather than directly at him. The officer can be seen stepping back and to the side as he draws his weapon and points it at the windshield. Another angle acquired by journalists seems to show the vehicle making some contact with the officer just before he fires his first shot, though the level of impact is unclear. The video suggests he remains on his feet and quickly moves out of the car's path as it continues down the street. After that initial moment, he fires 2 additional shots into the windshield from a position no longer directly in front of the moving SUV. The maroon vehicle then accelerates away, colliding with parked cars and a pole on the side of the road before coming to a stop. Footage shows the officer who fired holstering his weapon as he and the person recording walk toward the crashed car. Emergency crews later extricated Renee Good from the vehicle and transported her to Hennepin Healthcare, where she was pronounced dead from a gunshot wound to the head. Minneapolis officials have publicly pushed back on federal claims that the shooting was a clear case of self-defense. Mayor Jacob Fry said he had seen footage that, in his words, made the government's narrative garbage and bullshit, calling the incident a reckless use of power that resulted in a preventable death. Police Chief Brian O'Hara described the basic sequence of events, but notably did not say the driver had tried to harm anyone. City leaders also confirmed that Good had been acting as a legal observer for networks monitoring federal operations, which further fueled anger among protesters. Crowds gathered near the scene and downtown, chanting anti-ICE slogans and demanding that federal agents leave Minneapolis. Community members drew direct lines between this killing and earlier high-profile deaths in the city, arguing that federal badges do not change the dynamics of power and risk on the street. Nationally, the case has become a new flashpoint in an already polarized debate over immigration enforcement. While a Republican-led House panel held hearings praising tougher crackdowns, critics pointed to Good's death as evidence that aggressive raids and militarized tactics inevitably lead to unnecessary killings. Commentators noted that this was at least the fifth death linked to immigration operations across several states since 2024. News analysis described how a few seconds of violence on a snowy street have dragged Minneapolis back into America's fractured politics, echoing earlier moments when the city symbolized clashes over race, policing, and federal power. Supporters of the administration see a driver weaponizing her car in the middle of an already tense enforcement action. Opponents see an overarmed state treating a trapped woman in a stuck SUV as an enemy combatant rather than a civilian. Despite the flood of video, crucial questions remain unanswered. What exactly happened before the cameras started rolling, and what instructions did the woman hear clearly inside the vehicle? How close was the officer at the precise moment of each shot, and did investigators seriously consider whether less lethal tactics could have resolved the standoff? For now, the public is left with shaky phone scenes, sharply conflicting political narratives, and another grieving family in a city already synonymous with deadly encounters between law enforcement and civilians. As more evidence is released, this case will test not only the legal system, but also whether the country can look beyond a single viral scene and confront the full, messy reality of what happened in Minneapolis. And it will force a difficult question. When every side claims the video proves them right, who do we believe, and on what evidence?